Hello and welcome to Fresh Face Comics, the comic book podcast where a lifelong comic book reader guides his friend through the world of comics for the first time. My name is Joey Morgan, the aforementioned lifelong reader. With me as always is Jacob Licklider, the aforementioned newbie.
So we have a reverse invasion of the dinosaurs here today.
Explain.
Instead of dinosaurs being brought to the present, we have the present being brought to the dinosaurs.
Yeah, that's fair, but it's like one guy from the present, so...
Fine.
Well,
we have the end.
Really, it's multiple people from different periods of time, so it's... I don't
Also,
know.
a thing that happens in Invasion of the Dinosaurs. There's a guy from a different time period brought to a different time period.
I think you're really stretching with this one. All that is to say, of course, today we are back with Flashfall, our second of 3 episodes of Flashfall. We are continuing the New 52 Flash run, but starting a new run within the New 52 Flash. This is The Flash by Robert Venditti and Van Jensen, with art mostly by Brett Booth. This is the start of a new run, and a run that's only going to take 2 episodes to cover. We're finishing it next time, but still very exciting nonetheless.
It's about what? It's about a 2-year run, I think.
Yeah, it's a solid run. Yeah,
a little over 2 years.
Yeah. These are the volumes Out of Time and Savage World. Those are the names. But what's actually really nice is that they kind of make up one complete story. So it is really nice that we're covering them all in one episode.
I'm also glad we are, because if we just did Out of Time, I would be kind of disappointed.
Interesting. Actually, with that, I guess jumping into our non-spoiler section, Jacob, what is Out of Time / Savage World about?
Okay. It's going to be hard to do complete without any spoilers, because, like, it's so weird. So,
I mean, here's the thing. I feel like if you're talking about the identity of our villain here, our quote unquote villain, it's revealed in the second issue of the volume. How much of a spoiler is it, I wonder?
I'd count it as a spoiler, at least vaguely.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
That's gonna make this a really, really funny discussion then.
Yeah, so what I found, I think what struck me most about reading this was the disconnect between the runs. We've just come off of Manapul and Bucalato, with Bucalato writing one final little 3-parter. And Manapul and Bucalato didn't really do a whole lot of, like, tie-ins to what 52 was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And Out of Time and Savage World, but mainly Out of Time, really feels like it has to tie into what the New 52 was doing, for both better and for worse. We have a new writer, 2 new writers on board. 2 new writers that, I'm going to be honest, I'm not familiar with. I know, Joey, you like Venditti's Green Lantern quite a bit.
Venditti's Green Lantern is great, and also I think the reason that there are 2 writers on this is because Venditti was doing another massive DC flagship title at the time, and so yeah, Vengeance is here to help execute this run in particular. Because yeah, Venditti for some reason was just handed the reins to 2 massive DC titles after 2 really successful runs, one of which was fucking Jeff Johns' Green Lantern. So yeah, it's a tall order, and Venditti was doing a lot at the time, I think.
I think some of that was also, let's be honest, DC internal politics around this time period. Dan DiDio didn't know who he had at his disposal, like, for whatever reason. I don't think. Like, yeah. I don't think DiDio was really doing a whole lot of recruitment. You can also argue Marvel and DC today don't do a whole lot of recruitment. That's
yeah. I like to think we're getting better.
I mean, we've seen some more faces recently.
I just wish round robin actually meant something. That's all I want. But
yeah,
but whatever.
But yeah, this is really tying in specifically to the post Forever Evil, post Crime Syndicate, DC universe, and in a lot of interesting ways. It's trying. It feels like it's in a way trying to get back to a status quo of the past, both for better and in a lot of ways for worse. there is a character that Vendetti and Jensen, I think, kind of dropped the ball on characterizing just a little
You are.
bit.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say you're not talking who I think you're talking about, but you're not. I mean,
I can say it. It's not a spoiler. I think Patty Spivot gets a little bit.
okay, all right. As long as you're not talking about the new introduction to this run, which I think they do so fucking well. I think I think he's
Well,
one of.
yeah, we're introducing a new version of, well, a new version of a classic character who becomes his own character in his own right later on.
Mhm.
I want to say in Rebirth,
Yeah,
probably in
well,
Rebirth.
yeah, definitely a rebirth thing.
They were intending him to replace the uh,
But you could
the
just say who it is. Again, it's first issue
We're
things.
getting Wally West. We're
Yeah.
getting Wally West, but it's a new Wally West, and I vaguely, I I vaguely remember this thing. I think breaking into the general internet sphere at the time, because
Huh.
well, because this would have been like 2015, which is sort of the rise of the public facing nature of a lot of sort of the alt-right conservative grifters bitching and moaning about a non-cis white person being in any piece of media ever. I vaguely remember this being a thing briefly, because Wally West in the New 52 is not white, and
Yeah,
that's a problem for some reason. Spoiler alert, it's not actually a problem.
it's not. And
It's
honestly, I think he's a really damn good character in this. I really
I
love this version of Wally. Um,
I
I
kind
get
of
it.
honestly I kind of wish we had more of him in these two volumes.
Well, you're going to get more in the following two volumes, even. So
I
there's that.
I I
There's that.
imagine I imagine
Yeah,
based on where this ends,
yeah,
um,
yeah,
where I
definitely.
think this is going. Um, it's also a tall order. I can see. Here's the thing. I can see why this run isn't talked about, because it's solid. Like, it is perfectly good. It's decent. It is a telling a mostly good story. First half, I will say, drags a lot, and I think is actually stretched out, and becomes repetitive um, pretty quickly. But the second half is actually really solid, and really interesting. And I really hope that then I think that first arc might just be teething problems of the new creative team, or at least I hope that's what
Um,
it was.
Very possible. Very possible. I think
Uh,
this was also because what issues? This is like the early 30s. I want to say around this time, Venditti was also juggling a Green Lantern event. I think this was around the time that Lights Out happened. I want to say it's around then. I could be totally wrong.
and because
I'm
there's an issue here that ties in specifically to the big DC event Futures End, though.
Yes. Well, but I do actually really appreciate what the Futures End one does here, because like most Futures
Yeah,
End, most of the Futures End one shots were totally irrelevant, and Vendetti and Jensen were like, well, we're actually doing a big future story right now, so let's actually tie in the Futures End one shot into this, which I
yeah.
really appreciate.
As an issue, it made me feel like, oh, we actually need this for the run. This isn't just some tie-in tossed in because you toss in the tie-ins,
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
usually, which is nice. Um, Especially because I've heard Futures End is one of those infamous DC events that is not well regarded. Um,
I never read the whole thing actually. I read a bunch of the one shots that came out around this time because they had these cool hollow covers. But no, I didn't bother with a lot of it honestly. I was
it was
more
one of
just
those weekly events, wasn't it? One of those
yeah,
weekly
it was weekly. It
year-long
was yeah, right around the
things.
same time as like Batman Eternal, Earth Two Worlds End, Batman and Robin Eternal, all those weekly events. Which I still maintain the best of was Earth Two Worlds End. Mwah, beautiful, perfect, I love it. All that said, Jacob, shall we get into some Twitter questions?
Yeah. Let's get into some. Let's get into some Twitter.
Start off on a Discord question, I suppose, from our friend Andrew, friend of the podcast, says, "Do you prefer more traditional rogues or speedster villains when it comes to the Flash?" I think the instinct is to not say speedsters because I think it can seem like speedster villains are really oversaturated these
Well,
days.
I, I'm going to say the Rogues, but to play devil's advocate for the Speedsters, it's very easy to make a Speedster villain boring.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think also a lot of it has to do. This is something that actually is the fault of the CW Flash show, I think, which is that they did a big speedster villain like every season for the first 3 seasons, and season 3, which we do actually need to talk about the Flash season 3 at some point in this discussion, because it's actually relevant. But season 3 sort of being the tipping point, and then they're like, okay, we don't have to do that every fucking season. And and so yeah, I think that's a lot of the reason why people sort of like try to pull back on that more these days, which I don't blame them for. But also, saying more traditional rogues, I think when you use traditional rogues, there's more of a chance for variety, more potentially interesting villains. But also, again, speedsters present an interesting sort of Moriarty-esque Black Mirror version of the Flash, and it's always fun to see the Flash go up against. So, of course, there's an appeal to that.
It is when written well, because
Yeah, yeah.
I'd argue Speedsters are easier to mess up because it's almost too obvious to make it a straight mirror of the Flash.
Yeah, yeah. And,
Like,
and in this case, we're dealing with that a little more directly than I think we usually might be. But more on that in spoilers, of course.
yeah, we're gonna have to talk about this.
Onto the actual Twitter questions. First from our friend Rules Panda at Joey Can Read This says, favorite animated Flash that is not the DCAU. Honestly, even if I could say DCAU, he's not my favorite. I still think my favorite animated Flash is Flashpoint Paradox Flash. I really love that portrayal of the character. I still think Flashpoint Paradox is a fantastic adaptation of a comic, and I love the singular journey that version of the Flash goes on in that single movie. I think is just beautiful. I love it. Yeah. Also points to Taliesin Jaffe in Injustice 2, just because it's Taliesin Jaffe. That's all it is. But yeah, Jacob.
I mean, I have really only experienced the Flashpoint Paradox Flash and the DCAU Flash in terms of animated Flashes.
But which is better?
I don't know. I think I like Michael Rosenbaum's portrayal better. I think I
Interesting.
don't know. I don't know. There's something fun about. Look, some of it might just be because it's the DCAU and you have the wonderful Andrea Romano doing all the voice direction. Though I think she also
Oh,
voice directed uh,
I think she did Flashpoint Paradox as well.
Paradox too.
I think also with Flash and the DC animated universe, though, I think he's a fairly underutilized character in both of those shows. There's some great standout moments, and there are episodes dedicated to the Flash.
I mean,
I think
we
in general
also
he's
both
kind of
agree
underutilized.
in the Flash. I mean, you can say this for a lot of DC heroes. A lot of DC heroes have been screwed over in adaptations, either been getting movies that aren't particularly great unless their names are Batman,
Batman and Superman.
Superman,
Yep,
and
and that's the
at a
list.
stretch.
Oh, what's your stretch? I gotta know.
I was gonna say Wonder Woman at least had the live action Linda Carter show. That is kind of iconic for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody else, and also Wonder Woman 2017 is actually good.
It's great, and also the 2009 animated film is really good.
That one's good.
Uh,
Bloodlines is also pretty decent.
84 has some moments. Yeah, I think that's just one of those reasons why I'm so excited for James Gunn's DC universe, because I cannot wait to see him shining a gigantic fucking spotlight on obscure characters in that wonderful James Gunn way that he does, and also just giving characters that aren't the Trinity more of a spotlight. And honestly, I really I'm going to take this opportunity to say, like, I actually like the Kyle Chandler Hal Jordan casting. I think it's really good. I think it's just really good for Hal Jordan.
Was that confirmed or was that a rumor?
That one is confirmed. Kyle Chandler.
That one is confirmed. Okay.
Yeah. Yep. I'll take it. Honestly, I'll take it. I think it's very good. But anyway, also from our friend Kian at Kian the Quark says Wallace West ? With a picture of Ace McShane from Doctor Who. I actually have no clue what Kian is driving at here.
Because some writers call him Ace. I looked this up, so I was like, "What the fuck are you doing, Kian?" This man can.
What? What a
Also,
fucking
I
guy.
thought the joke had died. I thought the joke had died. I thought we
Nope.
killed it.
No, I think it's only because we brought it up in the last episode that it came back. So
Okay.
whatever, that's on us, really. Then from our friend Jamie at Jamie_season 7 says, "Why is it so mid?" I disagree. I really do. I don't think mid is an accurate word for
I
these
think the first.
components.
I think out of time. I think. I think Savage World is good, genuinely good.
Savage World's really
Uh,
good, and I
Also,
just
okay, okay.
I think
Can actually? I'm gonna take this fucking stance because I hate the Gen Z slang of mid meaning bad.
yeah, I don't get that either. Shouldn't
Mid
mid
is
actually mean
supposed to be
shouldn't mid actually mean like a
fine.
5 out of 10 or something? Like, come on, like that, I think that's yeah mid. I don't get it.
It's a shortening of the word middling,
Yeah,
which is
like
middle
just
of the road.
yeah,
And a lot of things are middling. Um, like, for instance, Out of Time or Trinity
um,
War.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I agree with that. You're absolutely right about that. And then our last question, from our friend Kian once again. Surely you're making Jacob watch season 3 of The Flash for this, right? Okay, so
So,
Jacob, we need to have this conversation. Do
here's
you
the thing.
want
Here's
to
the
know?
thing. Here's the thing. I have been filled in partially from a different
Oh
Discord server
no, you
that
got
you
to. I
aren't
was gonna.
in.
I was gonna describe the plot of The Flash season 3 for you right now, Jacob.
I
Okay.
the,
Damn it. Okay, it's really bad.
well,
Can
here's
I at
the
least
thing,
describe it
because
out loud for those that don't
I will
know?
share. I share Q and A's in a bunch of in quite a few Discord servers, and the immediate response from someone in a Discord server was a GIF of a two-faced looking Grant
Oh yeah.
Gustin
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Okay,
mugging to the
okay,
camera.
so Jacob, okay, do me a favor. Look up I don't know if you've seen it already, but look up the Flash season 3 villain. They call him Savitar in Flash season 3. That is so okay. For those that haven't seen it or just don't care. Okay, spoilers for the Flash season 3 because I need to talk about this shit because it's the season that is inspired by this fucking story and it's so bad. I hate it so much. Okay, have you looked it up, Jacob?
I'm working on it. I'm working on it. Um,
Savitar.
so you can partially blame Rosenfeld for spoiling things for me.
Ah, no, I was gonna describe it. Okay, I'll still describe it because it's still really fucking dumb. Once you look it up, I will absolutely begin. Have you seen this?
That is Burns on Grant
So,
Gustin.
okay, but have you seen the suit?
I'm seeing a top half of a suit.
Look, okay, just look up the full suit. The Savitar suit. It's a giant metal suit that version of Barry Allen walks out of. So essentially, the plot of season 3 is that early on in the season, Barry gets this. Barry supposedly time travels, and he sees a future version of Iris West being killed by this giant metal freak Savitar, and she's stabbed through the heart, and she falls dead. Barry screams or whatever. So it takes the entire fucking season until this giant metal freak is revealed to be future Barry Allen,
And
and
this is classic. This is
23 episode season. Yeah. Yep.
this is classic. This is an actual television season.
Yeah, if I
Like,
remember correctly, it's the second to last episode cliffhanger that it's actually revealed who it is. So you know how what the show ended up doing with poor Tom Cavanaugh was having like a new different dimension version of Harrison Wells each season, but the
yes.
character literally resets every single fucking time, and Tom Cavanaugh's talents are being wasted to the max. So how they essentially do with this version of Tom Cavanaugh is they have his character earlier on in the season develop a technology that allows him to holographically disguise himself, so that the Iris West that Barry saw get killed by Savitar early on in the season is in fact this alternate version of Harrison Wells, disguised as Iris. So once again, no consequences because we're just going to get Tom Cavanaugh back in the very next season again, and Iris West is actually just fine, and there are no consequences at all. And also, again, miserable reveal taking 22 fucking episodes to do. Grant Gustin's acting as future Barry is god awful. I hate it so much. It's such a bad season.
So do you want to know what Rosenfeld actually said to me?
Oh, please do tell.
They combined it with the Savitar storyline. Basically, a time duplicate of Barry went rogue and killed Iris, though it's wrapped up in a lot more complicated BS. And then after that season, the show got progressively worse.
See, okay. So I think season 3, at least early on, is the absolute low point. So I think seasons 4 and 5 are actually a little better. Personally, I watched the whole show for some reason. Then 6, 7, 8, and I think there are 9 seasons. So 6 through 9 are all pretty bad, but 4 and 5 I think are just solid enough. They're pretty decent. 4 especially I thought was pretty good. But yeah, just 3 I think is just it was the moment for me. I remember when I just totally gave up on the show back when it was airing, and I didn't bother going back to it until many years later. So yeah, bad season is all I'm trying to say, and it somehow came from this plot line mostly. So all that said,
I mean, here's the thing. I would be surprised if we tried to do some bonus episodes at some point on the Arrowverse.
oh, that would be so funny, man.
However, however, you know how bad I am with watching television. So
You're really bad at it.
I'm really bad at it.
You're really bad at it. Jacob, I offer all the time to watch these things with you. I'll sit down with you and watch the fucking shows. I don't mind.
You know what? We're gonna do that for Arrow and the Flash. You and I are just gonna
sure. Oh god. I mean, here's the thing. The first 2 seasons of Arrow and the first season of Flash are really, really good. And actually,
hey, there's a reason I was watching them as they aired until like the Flash season 2, Arrow season 4, 3.
Yeah, and I'll say like most what Arrow season do you stop at? Ra's al Ghul or Damien Dark? Villain wise.
I want to say Damien Dark because I think I saw the race season all the way through. I think the Damien Dark stuff was like just starting when my brain was like.
Okay, so that's season 4 then, yeah. But yeah, so like a lot of these Arrowverse shows have like their absolute low point pretty early on. Then they have like a small like incline where they get pretty solid again. Arrow especially I think has a really, really good season 5. And then they all just dip immediately again. So the only ones I've seen in their entire
except apparently Superman and Lois. Apparently Superman and Lois.
I've never seen any of that actually. The only Arrowverse shows I've seen in their entirety are Arrow, Flash, Supergirl, Constantine counts, I suppose. And I watched that animated Vixen show, which is like 12 shorts, really. But yeah, that's what I've seen. Otherwise, I think I've seen like the first couple seasons of Legends of Tomorrow, and I think that's about where my knowledge ends. And also I've seen like the random crossover episodes. Like I've seen like an episode of Batwoman because it ties into Crisis on Infinite Earths. So whatever. Oh god, that was a really long discussion about the Arrowverse. Holy shit. Let's stop that shit right now and get into some spoilers.
Let's talk about some comics that came out before the Arrowverse was a thing.
Yeah, or the larger Arrow. Well, Arrow started in 2012, but it didn't become the Arrowverse until like 2014 when the Flash started. So, yeah.
And I think this stuff. When did this?
This was 2014, release? I believe.
I think. Well, I mean, they didn't do any synergy yet.
Yeah. But yeah, anyway, so spoiler section. Here we go. If you consider this your official spoiler warning, if you are not following us along, don't worry, you're not missing anything episode reveal wise. Next time we are just continuing the Flash. We're covering volumes 8 and 9 of the New 52 Flash, Zoom and Full Stop, finishing the Vendetti Jensen Flash run, and also the last volume actually has an issue of Joshua Williamson Flash. So there's that. It includes DC Rebirth or Flash Rebirth #1. So we'll probably check that out as well.
Also, it'll also be finishing year 3 of Fresh Face Comics.
Yeah, how about that? Oh my god, that's absolutely insane to me. God, we gotta stop this shit. All right.
Stop time.
Stop time. Be like future Barry Allen. Anyway. Spoiler warning, our socials and all that will be linked in the description below, as well as Amazon links to the books we cover today and are covering next time on the podcast. So without further ado, Jacob, let us begin with volume 6 Out of Time, kicking off on The Flash number 30. So, first off, Brett Booth. I gotta start the conversation on Brett Booth.
We have to talk about Brett Booth.
God, Brett Booth.
And Norm Rapmund, who inks doesn't ink everything in this. I think there's also an issue that Booth doesn't draw.
Yeah.
I want to say it's the Future's End issue.
Yeah, and then
Uh,
when we get towards the end of the run, Booth stops doing interiors for all of the last volume. But yeah, um, but yeah, Brett Booth is just a really good Flash artist. We had a bit of his art last time as a cover in history lessons, but right away from this Flash number 30's cover, I just you get the feeling for exactly what he wants to do. With the aesthetic of the character, and I think it really works. It's certainly not Francis Manapul and Brian Bucalato, but it is
it
still really
feels
fun.
very different from Manipul and Bucalato's collaboration. It feels actually, in a way, kind of 2000s. If
I
that
get
makes
that.
sense.
I get
There's
that.
a there's this
In a good way though.
yeah, there's just this very interesting digital look to it almost, if that makes sense. Like the style that really rose up in the early to mid 2000s. Um, sort of
I
that style that
suppose.
we saw, a lot of that style that we saw with Planet Hulk and World War Hulk, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Uh,
no, I get it. Yeah.
which is it's a very good style. Booth is clearly a talented artist. Um, I might have the hot take that I think I prefer Manipul and Bucalato. Like, uh,
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I think most people would agree, but I don't know, maybe not. I think this certainly looks more traditional Flash comic.
yeah, and
And
I think
again,
even
both have
I
their.
think even it could also just be even going traditional, either going back to sort of a traditional art style. Either way, was always going to feel kind of like a downgrade. Um,
I suppose, yeah. When you do something that does something like so revolutionary for the character, like Manipul did, it's just it could just be kind of jarring to go back. I don't want to use the phrase and go back because it makes it sound like it's regressing, but just to be more normal. That's all. Anyway, issue comes out swinging. Yeah, first two pages we're killing a kid. We're putting Iris in an ambulance. We don't know who the kid
five
is yet,
years in the
or
future,
yeah,
because
we're not supposed to know who the kid is yet. But yeah, 5 years in the future, this is our inciting incident for this entire story arc, and it happens in 2 pages. Um, did you? I mean, I guess you would have known already that this was supposed to be Wally here, right?
yeah, my brain was like, oh, this is Wally. He's dead. Like, oh, so what are we? I I'm 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 tempted to say some of the structure here is a little messy.
I disagree. I think the structure is fine.
I think maybe cutting this initial flash forward uh, might have done better elsewhere. Uh,
I strongly disagree with that, actually. Yeah, I think this is like exactly the kind of like mission statement that they want to make with an arc that's going to last for as long as this one is across these 2 volumes. Like, yeah, I think this is what they want to like drill into the reader first thing.
see, I might have moved it to the end of the issue instead of have it be the opener. Uh,
I suppose, but then by the end of this issue, like Wally hasn't even actually formed a relationship with Barry yet. I'd rather it happen like when actually no, Wally doesn't even show up in this first issue aside from the flash forward.
you're right. You're right. Um,
So like I'd rather like leave this an open mystery.
Either
Uh,
keep it an open mystery and then cut down some of the stuff that's in the next couple of issues with Future Barry, because Future Barry is going to be an integral character for this arc, and he's messy. Like
he's messy. Yeah,
it's
yeah.
there
Um,
is a lot of okay. So I like I we're both Doctor Who fans,
mhm.
and we are both fans of Doctor Who stories where the consequences of time travel are a thing
Mhm.
uh, in some way. Uh, like stories like the Aztecs or the Space Museum, um, or Father's Day. Um, Father's Day had anything else written by Paul Cornell or often Kate Orman. Um, so this story should be tailor made to us, right? It should hit a lot of the boxes.
I suppose.
But I think the way we present future Barry's journey, specifically in this first half, uh, and drops the ball.
Man, I'm already still disagreeing with you. No, I think it's we're not even really getting into Future Barry yet in this first issue. It's literally just the first and last scene of the issue. And even then, this isn't even really a Future Barry. This is meant to be, this first one is still meant to feel
This
like
is
our Barry,
th-
like
this
our
is
Barry
this
Allen.
yeah, this is midpoint Barry. Um, Even though the midpoint is actually more like point two on the journey. This
The
is
point, the point is, this is still supposed to feel like our Barry,
yes,
and not until the very end are we going to show that alternate future Barry. But let's save that discussion for when we get to it.
yeah.
Back to the present
Because then
day.
a lot of the rest of the middle of the issue is a lot of present day is status quo establishing.
Yeah, well, especially
That's
because one of the things that Vendetti and Jensen want to do is they want to focus on Central City after the attack of the Crime Syndicate in the DC Comics event Forever Evil, which we've also done an episode on, episode 69. So check out 69. But yeah,
nice.
this is this is yeah. So this is sort of like our sort of jumping off point for our present day stuff in Vendetti and Jensen's run. So we see like the Central City police department's precinct attacked here. We see it sort of like graffitied and torn up all over the place, and we see that everyone inside, Barry Allen included, of course, is sort of like recovering from the chaos that has happened throughout that event. And
Everyone has to go through a psych eval.
mhm. Which is really cool. I actually really like that aspect of it. I like that
Yeah,
it's just
it
something
makes
that would
sense.
naturally happen.
I particularly like what we do with Barry's psych eval as Barry is rushing off to be the Flash in the middle of the evaluation
Mhm.
and coming back.
I also just like comment on the fact that I really love that this is a plot point here because it's so easy and it happens most of the time that that most that like a giant big comic book event happens and immediately after it's over, every single like solo series that tied into it or had a character involved in the event just kind of like goes back to the way things were before, or it only has like a passing mention towards that event. But like no, this
Pushes
is like
forward almost immediately. Whereas I do like that Vendetti and Jensen don't do that. That like we're dealing with the
yeah.
fallout.
Yeah, it's just really cool. You never see that. I really appreciate it, and it's actually done really well. I also really like this thing where like Barry is like waiting for his evaluation, and he's actually like late to get in there because Forrest was like taking a while at his appointment, and like it's just a small little character beat between Barry and Forrest that I really like seeing. Just cool. Um, but then Barry goes to meet his evaluation Doctor Janice,
Janus.
Janice, yeah.
Janus. Which I thought she was going to be set up as a villain with a name like Janus.
Okay.
Well, Janus is name of a Roman god of choices and doorways, and is depicted as quite literally two-faced. Um,
Jacob, tell me more
so
about that water bottle that was left in the movie. Um, but yeah, sorry. But yeah,
wait,
no,
what? Wait, what?
referencing the newest episode of Make Some Noise, with the film buffs that are obsessed over the water bottle that was left in a frame and like evaluate what it
Right.
means for the film.
Look. Okay, look. Listen.
It's just a name, Jacob. It's a name. It's just a name for a character.
Yeah, but Janus is all like one of those obvious names that is used for two-faced characters.
It
Okay.
could also just be a name. People could just be named that, Jacob.
You're gonna get me ranting on literally on the problem of the meme of the curtains are blue. Um,
But yes, you're as described before. Barry does go out and do flash things in the middle of his evaluation, so fast that it is literally in the time it takes this woman to look down and look back up. Which again, I really love that. I love when people take Barry's speed powers to just ridiculous lengths like that, to just test out how fast he is. We get some really nice Brett Booth art here as he goes out to help people in the city, and it's nice. It's really nice to see. Heals
I
Forest,
also
which is great.
I also love the whole idea of you can't help everyone, Barry.
And as she says that, he goes out and helps as many people
As
as he
many people
can.
as he can. Yeah.
Yeah, really, really cool stuff. Really great idea. Um, yeah, we see him helping the forest. He helps like some construction workers, cleaning up a lot of the destruction in the city, and all this is sort of just spawned from exactly that one line that the doctor has, and it's really nice. I really like seeing
Uh,
that.
there's a nice little bit of foreshadowing as to what's going on right after. So, before Barry went to his evaluation, Patty gifted him a watch,
Hmm.
uh, and after the evaluation, they both noticed that the watch is 2 minutes behind. Um,
Hmm.
and they don't think anything of it. I will say this is one of the few issues where Patty's character. There are issues here where Patty's characterized really well. Um, it's mainly some of the middle stuff that it just starts to grind my gears of like I don't think Patty. We'll get to it, but Vendetti and Jensen really want to make Patty not so much jealous, but like
I mean, Vidini and Jensen aren't really going for a "it's time to get Barry and Iris together" kind of thing. They're not really going for that. Um, so I don't think they're really like writing Patty and Barry at the expense of that. But I do agree that it's more just a. I think it's just more. It comes. I think where it comes from is more a lack of interest in Patty as a character from writers that didn't create her. Um,
so she
but
suffers a lot because they give her the I'm the girlfriend who is fed up with ends up being like fed up with Barry missing dates, and I'm that just feels like a gross mischaracterization of her after especially where Manipul and Vugalado left her off. Like
I suppose. But I will say also I love my superhero relationship drama. So I do actually I do like seeing like the reasons they come up with for having like Barry continually miss time with Patty. But more on that later. But we do end our issue here on a little tease of 20 years from now, when a future version of Barry Allen is mourning over the death of one Wally West. Or actually, no, he still doesn't have a name at this point. But oh no, he
they named him
doesn't.
Wally.
Oh,
They
they
named
did
him
call
Wally in
Wally.
the
Yeah,
last
that's right.
panel.
Yeah. And yeah, that is where the issue ends, taking us into. Is this our annual here? Actually,
Uh,
no,
no,
I forget which one is the
no,
annual.
it is the annual. It's the
Is it?
annual.
Are you sure? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're right. Okay, yep. Anyway, yeah, Flash Annual number 3. Here we go.
An annual again an annual that's directly tying into the story arc, and
Yeah,
directly
again,
continuing the
just
story arc.
yeah, I just really
Um,
appreciate that. Also, I like also using our annual for a pretty big milestone in the New 52 as we open our story here, properly introducing Wally West into New 52 continuity. This is the first time he actually appeared here properly. If you're not counting the body on page 1, if you will, of the last issue. But yeah, no, this is his first actual introduction here, where we see in the present Barry noticing a kid spray painting some graffiti in an alleyway. It's a giant flash symbol with a big red circle crossed through it. And Barry, but confronts the kid, and he's like, "Hey, you shouldn't do that." But the kid spray paints his shirt, and Barry then apprehends the kid and hands it over to the police. And actually, I actually really love this. This is really great panel at the end of this scene here, where Barry's just sort of like I love the way Brett Booth draws it, where he's like really dejected, like sitting below that sort of spray painted flash
so it's
symbol.
not actually Brett Booth drawing it.
Uh,
It's
That's
Ron
for sure.
Friends. Ron Friends does all the stuff in the present in the annual, and then Brett Booth and Norm Rappin
You're
do
correct. I was reading those
the future
credits
stuff.
wrong. I was reading those
Yes.
credits wrong. You're correct.
Yes. So it's
Um,
this is the annual where we don't get all the Brett Booth art because it's an annual and there's more pages and you got to split the load.
yeah, it's
Uh,
not that. We then get some more Barry Patty stuff where we're actually delving more into Barry sort of losing time as he puts down his coffee and goes out running for. Oh, actually, I really love what brings this on. Patty says, she's like, "Oh, I was just remembering my trip to Guatemala. Had this delicious fruit one morning, one morning, Nespero. I can go for one of those right now." And Barry, puts down his coffee, goes over to Guatemala, gets that fruit, comes back, and he realizes that his coffee has gone cold in the time that he has left. And as he goes to talk to Patty, we find out that he has actually been gone for. Do they say how long? Uh,
it's implied to have been 15 minutes. Because he made it on time. On
that's right.
time
Yeah,
being 15 minutes. He was supposed to be
yeah.
15 minutes early. He's actually right on time. So it's
Mhm.
yeah.
So we're sort of playing around with the idea of Barry continually losing time. Last issue it was 2 minutes. Now it's 15. And then we catch up with also in the precinct at this time is Iris West, who is there to pick up her nephew Wally West, who was caught this morning by some guy that caught him spray painting a wall. And we had a great little confrontation here between Wally and Barry, where they sort of like realize who they are for the first time. It's really fun. I was curious actually what you made of Wally in these early scenes.
He certainly has more personality than Kid Wally West did in early issues of the New Teen Titans.
Mhm.
Um, I like the rebellious streak. I don't think I entirely clicked with him until some future issues in this first volume. Honestly, I think he's got a good introduction here, but I think he becomes better as you get to know him more, and um, sort of this very fun Barry and Wally aren't so different after all. Little like stuff really gets to start being played around with subtly
Mhm.
and quickly. Though I again I find it interesting that we don't. It feels like we weren't leading up with the death with the body on page one to Wally becoming Kid Flash. Uh,
Well, so this actually brings me to the next scene here, actually, where we go once again to 20 years from now, when we have this scene of future Barry visiting the grave of Wally West, and Iris, who we find out here is disabled, and goes to see the Flash, and they have this sort of confrontation, and Barry reveals to her that the Flash is Barry this whole time, and this is news to Iris. I think what we're sort of establishing here is that even in a New 52 continuity, this future is supposed to feel wrong. That something isn't right here. And I think really what Venditti and Jensen are doing with this potential future is exemplifying how important Wally West is as a character to this, and why his introduction is so important to the run as a whole. So that's at least what I always sort of gleaned from this was that yeah, the future is supposed to not feel right, and making Wally West a dead body on page one is more than is not doing so much for the character as it is just establishing a quote unquote villain, if you will, for future Barry, and also just making it's not as important as making Wally a character in the present day. That's how I take it, at least. But
yeah.
what about you?
Um, Also, have we haven't mentioned? I really like Future Barry's costume. Like
It's cool. I
it's
can actually I'm surprised you like it. Actually, huh. I
I don't know.
I
I
don't know.
think the midnight blue.
I don't know why. It just kind of seemed like something that you wouldn't enjoy. But cool, I'll take it.
Well, like okay. Here's the thing. When I think of evil Flash, like evil Barry Allen, think of I haven't even seen the 2023 film. But like I've seen like the Dark Flash costume
Oh
thingy,
yeah,
and for
yeah.
some reason my brain goes to that, and I'm like, no, I don't know. Using this midnight blue, it's a really nice. Um, it pairs nicely with the way Andrew Dalhouse, who's doing all the colors in both these volumes, um, the way Dalhouse does the colors on Barry's regular suit, they pair really nicely.
Yeah, I
Um,
remember also really always loving those markings around the symbol that sort of like I don't know what to really call them, sort of like just tech based designs around
I
the
think
symbol
it's
itself.
supposed to be. I think it's supposed to be tech.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, okay,
Um,
probably helps. This is late 2014, early 2015. Over designed MCU suits are only just starting to really become a thing.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
so it doesn't really bother me. Um, so it's I don't know. I really like the design. I like what it does. It also makes him look so different from both Daniel West as the Reverse Flash and Zoom slash Eobard Thawne as the Reverse Flash. Uh,
Yeah, yeah. That is one thing also on the speedster discussion we were kind of having earlier in non spoilers. I think, if nothing else, I do really appreciate when speedsters are at least like look distinctive. Like I think distinct designs do a lot for distinct characterizations of speedsters, even if it is only a small thing. And even when it's just a future version of a speedster we already have, but still cool. It's a nice effort, and it goes a long way in my opinion. But yeah, we have that future scene between Barry and Iris. He goes off to do some time traveling, and we go back to
he's
the
not
present.
coming back
Not coming
because
back.
yeah. Um, this is a whole thing. In the present, we have Barry still trying to fight for justice in looking at uh, people in Iron Heights who maybe not so much wrongfully imprisoned, but at least partially wrongfully imprisoned. Uh,
Mhm.
which is interesting. Uh, this criminal was serving 25 years on robbery charges, and the CCPD is convinced he committed a murder, which he says he didn't do. So uh, uh, Barry is going to look into some DNA tests just to see what the evidence is actually going to prove, and going to
Mhm.
find a killer if he needs to. Um, this is this is the first in like a series of murders with supervillain tech. Uh, that's going to be that's kind of going to be our present Barry plot line for this first story arc in a lot of ways. And if I'm gonna be honest, it's a plot line that
It's not the most interesting thing in the world. You can say it. It's fine.
it's not interesting, and it doesn't. It's honestly it's missing a lot of the connective tissue that makes a plot work,
Well,
in
here's
my
the thing.
opinion.
I really love this annual actually, but I think because we were talking about this before recording. Actually, I think what ends up happening with a lot most of the issues after this, it's not every issue, but most of the issues after this annual is they just kind of keep doing like shorter versions of this annual like
They
continually.
they keep doing the
um
same. They keep doing this basically the same thing, and it gets.
it doesn't really stop this annual from being really great because then we go back to the future again 20 years from now, where we see a future Gorilla Grodd that has harnessed the Speed Force, and Future Barry goes to confront him, and we see what we start to see what Future Barry's goals are here. We're just kind of like continually flip-flopping back and forth between present Barry investigating these murders and future Barry trying to clean up his past mistakes, and trying to stop anyone from stopping him. Um, it's a good setup. It's a really good annual, and I think the first like 2 or 3 issues that come right after this keep up the momentum for the most part. But they do just kind of keep doing that same thing over and over again.
I'd argue it immediately starts to become diminishing returns, and those diminishing returns start slight diminishment, but then it starts to just snowball and snowball, and it becomes messy whenever Vendetti and Jensen are basically just rehashing things. Um, it's clear that they wanted this story to basically be the first year of the run, and I get it. but that does lead to a story arc that is stretched.
It is, yeah,
It's
definitely. Do you
stretched.
think, oddly enough, I know we've already praised using Future's End and the annual as part of the main story, but do we think it might not have felt as long if we didn't use those towards the main story?
Probably.
Which is a weird thing to
Uh,
say, I know, because yeah, I'm definitely like praising the way they're using their
well,
special issues.
it's so fascinating that the special issues are the ones where it really feels like the story is being propelled forward in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
So I I, I can't chalk it up to inexperience because Vendetti's obviously an experienced writer. He had a Green Lantern run before this.
yeah.
Uh,
I mean, not incredibly long before this. It was like not even a year before this. Um,
no, but he had been on a book for a year.
oh
Uh,
yeah, and I just again I don't want to say too much because also we're a ways off from it, and I don't want to set any expectations. But I really love Vendetti's Green Lantern run. Um, but keeping up with where this issue is at in the present day, once again we get Barry bringing so. We get Director Singh being pissed off that Barry has opened up a bunch of new cases by getting the
basically,
speeds
yeah, has reopened a bunch of cases,
by not entirely
mainly.
believing that this guy killed all these people, which is annoying, obviously. But Barry's searching for the truth. Um, Also, there's something I really, really love about when he goes to visit Patty, and you have Patty doing like blood splatter tests, and she's in this like ridiculous like science headgear, and just I don't know something about Barry and Patty being romantic with each other in such a setting and looking the way she does. I think it's just really fun, and also just one of the reasons I love their relationship because they're science nerds and they do they do like dumb nerd science shit, and they're still in love, and it's great. Well, mostly in love. Anyway, um, moving on. Barry is then a call to action as we have these people stealing some art pieces from a museum. He goes into flash mode, goes to attack these guys. They have some weapons that are able to stop him in his tracks. Um, we get essentially an extended fight sequence here then between Barry and
Some
them.
great creative uses of speed powers,
Yeah.
classic tornadoes, catching all the paintings, uh, Barry getting to do some quips.
And I do love the point when this action sequence transitions back into future Barry. Then
It,
these
I
like
love
two
the use
side
of
by
colors in that. I love
yeah,
the way the way the colors flip. It's almost cinematic. Part of me
it's re-
wonders.
it's really
Part of
fucking
me
good.
wonders as if there was like a page flip in like the single issue, um, because there could have
Oh,
been.
maybe. I
Uh,
mean, part of me kind of doubts it. I think this seems very intentional to put these two big pages side by side. Um, but still,
See, I could see
it's
it
still
going.
really
I could
fun.
honestly see it going either way.
I
Um,
suppose. I suppose.
yeah,
But we have Future Barry fighting Grodd some more. Turns out he wants to because Grodd, being so in tune with the Speed Force, it would be able to stop Future Barry from breaking the time barrier again and going back in time and fixing his mistakes. So Future Barry wants to put a stop to Grodd. And importantly, although I think you can probably tell that Future Barry is antagonistic in this form, we haven't seen him do anything outright evil yet, because as far as we know, he's fighting Gorilla Grodd, who has been nothing but a villain in the past, in the New 52 at least, and through most of comics history. But yeah, I find that interesting. I mean, I think obviously, actually, you know what? A perspective I'm not sure of. Were you associating Future Barry at this point with villainy at all, or no?
um, I kind of was, but that was more because I'm like, oh, this is the trope that we're doing. Like
Hmm.
this is the timeline gone wrong. Heroes fallen in this timeline, and we're going to explore that. Like
Mhm.
that's just more understanding story structure and
Yeah,
how these
exactly.
stories
I
are
think
told.
yeah, but interestingly, like I hadn't really thought about it, but up to this point, like he hasn't done anything outright evil yet. I mean, he will by the end of this issue, but still, I think that's just really interesting. Hmm.
Yeah.
Anyway, we have some more Barry fighting off these art thieves, and he's eventually able to stop them and hand them off to the police. And
And there's a very important moment of Present Barry being like, I would have saved you anyway because I won't take a life. Paralleled immediately with Future Barry murdering Gorilla Grodd.
by
Like,
blowing up his fucking head, like
Like
Yeah.
the head's gone. It's gone.
It's just gone. Grodd is dead, and Barry is able to freely travel into the past, and that takes us into the Flash number 31. With
Yeah.
actually, I really love that cover. It's just really cool. I really like that.
Yeah. Also, we have the Future Very stated goal. He's running back in time to kill himself. And
Midgeward.
okay, here's where I start having problems with the Future Barry plotline because we have several plots on the way of Barry running back in time to end himself. Some of them effective, some of them not. The most effective ones. The most effective one is probably the Captain Cold one that we're going to get.
Yeah, it's it's funny actually. On reread, I think I found pretty much all of the Future Barry segments really compelling. It was the present stuff that I was struggling with for the most part, other than like Wally. But like here
See
we go.
that see. I also agree that the present stuff isn't all that compelling. It's this is a murder mystery of who's the serial killer using um a bunch of superheroes superpowers, but it does the problem of we don't really have many we don't spend enough time being us suspects or really playing it out like a murder mystery.
Well, yeah, because what we're essentially doing is actually just a villain of the week structure. Like we had the art thieves last time, and now we have this new character that's using
Black
like poison
Mold.
that's using like poison gas to kill people, and they turn into infected from The Last of Us, and it's actually a really cool image. But like this isn't like a character that like we're going to be taking seriously beyond like the short amount of time that he's actually here. But then like once we start delving into future stuff again, I think it gets really cool. And because what Future Barry is doing, like continually traveling back in time, is we're getting like shorter and shorter distances away from like when our inciting incident was. We'll get into that in a second, actually, because actually I do want to comment on the present, where first off in the present, Barry Allen, just civilian Barry Allen, is wearing a Blue Lantern shirt. Just wanted to comment on that because
Yeah, that's
good for him. um, it's just cool. It's great. I don't know. I like it. But yeah. Also, Iris is there to look into this black mold character, and
and this is like a second Black Mold. First Black Mold hasn't been active in years.
mhm.
Yeah, it's
And also Iris, we learned at this time wants Barry to maybe come check in on Wally because Wally's sort of like paternal figure, it seemed, was like Daniel West, and Daniel West, it turned out, was a supervillain, and so Wally doesn't really have anyone to look up to right now. It's just so she was wondering if maybe Barry could help her out with that. She's having a hard time connecting with him, and this is played immediately side by side with uh, her Barry talking to Patty and starting to like lay some plant some seeds of like potential distrust going forward. Um, it's it's not really thankfully it's not really a Barry is falling for Iris and Patty can see that, because that's not really what this story or the run as a whole is even trying to do. um it's trying to make Barry and Wally a thing. I shouldn't say a thing in that way, but it's trying to give Barry and Wally a relationship dynamic between the two of them, and this will be the actual driving force that sort of is working to split Barry and Patty slowly. Um, it's not awful early on. I don't think. I think we're still in the clear right now, but yeah, it's not great later. um, but meanwhile, in the future, future Barry is arriving at a charity gala where he tends to do more shenanigans here, I imagine. But also, we're continually jumping back and forth between the present and the
and
future.
it's I'm gonna be honest, the jumping back and forth is paced kind of awkwardly. Like
Yeah, because I was ready to launch into another description of the future segment, but it's exactly one page, and I was like, okay, cool,
it is
we're
one
back to the past
page
already.
for
So
another. Then we have 2 pages of what's basically recap. Like it's it's a lot of recap of what's going on. Um,
mhm. Yeah, just
Singh is mad
recapping
at Barry for starting new fires and opening new cases. Uh, and I, I don't entirely know if Vendetti and Jensen get Director Singh as a character because Director Singh is just really like stop opening all these new cases continually, even though like as Barry's doing this, it's more pieces to a puzzle. It's supposed to be more pieces to a puzzle. Like
I think it's mostly just Singh doesn't get much to do here early on. I'll say they they do actually do some really cool things with Singh in the last two volumes. I think at least, but yeah, here he's just severely underutilized in these first two volumes of their run. Um, but back in the future, this is actually a Mirror Master story, because Mirror Master is robbing some rich people, and good for him, honestly. Um, but yeah, future Barry is here to put a stop to this permanently. One can imagine. And meanwhile, back in the present, what are we doing here in the
Barry
present?
is
I don't.
trying to figure out what the common thread is of this whole of everything that's of basically all of basically bunch of supervillain tech is being used to kill people and Barry's like not Wally related thread is basically trying to tie it all together. And I'm just going to say it's too weak to really sustain itself. The threads, they don't so much jump to conclusions, they just like do their best to hit beats when it's clear there's more interest in other things going on.
Yeah, I mean, like the Wally plot, which is really good here. Like Barry's late to showing up to meet with Wally, and there's this friction between the two of them as characters, and
Because
Iris.
because they find that they finally fix he's the guy that busted me for the graffiti.
Yeah,
Uh,
and then Barry, and then like Wally storms off, and Barry offers to take Wally to a baseball game, and it's a really nice gesture, and there's clearly something that like Vendetti and Jensen want to do here, but again, it's really just our murder mystery plot line that is really weak, and yeah, it really is like yeah, they're just kind of like biding their time, and um I really almost feel like if we could like focus these issues a little more, like I would sooner read an entire issue of Future Barry stuff, because clearly they actually have an idea of what they want him to do, as we sort of like follow him in
get
his
the,
travels
get
back in
the,
time.
take all the Future Berry stuff out, put it in one single issue, cutting some of the Future Berry plot lines we're going to get when necessary, and trimming some of the fat because there is even some padding in some of these when we flash to them because they're spread out over all of these things. And like each time the like it's getting closer and closer to the present. Because the first one was 20 years, this one is 16 years,
Mhm.
the next one is 12 years. So we're kind of going in groups of four, but not quite because there's then going to be one eventually that's 5 years because uh, again, Barry Perry wants to is basically trying to rewrite history.
Yeah.
Um,
I do love where this future segment ends though, because we then get in Mirror Masters, robbing of this gala. He goes into a mirror dimension, and Future Barry shatters the glass that allows him to travel between these dimensions, essentially trapping Mirror Master in his mirror dimension forever, and stopping this horrible these horrible like murders of this gala that he was going to commit, that Future Barry was already aware of. I don't know, just honestly like really scary note to end it on. I really like that. It's really good. Honestly, again, I really like the Future Barry segments. I really can't say that enough. It's really good. But that takes us, I think, into the Flash number 32. Um, as we open here with 12 years from now, which I know is a segment that you really like.
yeah,
Uh,
this is one of the few ones that I really like. This is honestly it's probably the last one that like I really well no because I liked the
I'm telling you, man, the Future Barry stuff is good. It's all good. It's just it's the present stuff that's not great.
Okay, this is Captain Cold's reckoning, shall we
Actually,
say?
I wonder, when we do these issues, should we just like cover like one half of the plot and do the other half separate, like
That's
future and present?
probably for the best because
Yeah, let's do that instead. Let's talk about future first.
yeah. So yeah, this one is Captain Cold has stage 4 bone cancer, uh, which is like he's dying. So Future Barry is coming mainly just to talk to him. Like it's this one's actually really interesting and gives us our best look at who Future Barry is as a character, and how you can really see how he's become jaded and evolved, uh, all while you know sort of gloating about a villain. Like there's this almost entire page monologue uh, about how the regret here is that Barry wasn't there for Leonard Snart when Leonard Snart died,
Mhm.
and how everything uh, that he's basically trying to take care of, and his biggest mistake is letting Wally die, and also that he feels space and time coming apart. It's really effective.
Yeah, yeah, it's really good. It's a really great segment, and you actually get this idea that Leonard actually goes in peace as he dies, and Barry being there for him in the end is really really nice. It's a great gesture. Yeah, just a really strong segment. I really love um, that one in particular.
The
And
present segment
then there's the
is
present where we're fighting a tree at the start here. Uh,
we're playing around with the gravity field, and we get some great art in it. But again, it doesn't. This serial killer plotline doesn't move forward at all.
Yeah,
Like,
again, it's just freak of the week. Like, here's another random new villain. This one's called Merge, and it's like, okay, cool. All right, sure, I care. Sure, whatever.
the art is
Um,
very pretty. It
it
has some
is.
fun
Love
designs.
it is. Yeah.
Um, we start to have some annoying Patty scenes where it's like we never. She keeps bringing up that we never do dates, and you
Are you saying you find a female character annoying, Jacob? Are
find a
you just
female character
are you just
who
a
was
massive
written.
sexist, Jacob? Are you just a
No,
massive sexist? Are you just a massive sexist, Jacob
look,
Lecliner? Is that it?
look, look. This is not a place to try to analyze any problematic behaviors that I may be unaware of holding, but when you have Patty, who is characterized for the first 5 volumes really well, really understanding, and then it's just like actually annoyed and jealous of Iris. This is where she is really jealous of Iris. That
Yeah, yeah. I will say the only way I could actually like defend it is that at least Vendetti and Jensen gave like put a reason into the run for there to be like an actual thing sort of forcing them apart, like with Barry losing time with his powers, with him making time for Wally. Like there is at least a something in there like that you can tell like at least Vendetti and Jensen are using to justify their plot points that they want in there that they want to use to start to separate Patty and Barry. It's a shame to see, but at least there is a reason there.
it just comes at the expense of Patty Spivot as a character,
Yeah.
uh,
However, we
which
do end the
is
issue on a fantastic scene between
yes,
Barry and
some
Wally.
great. I love the way the issue ends because first off, Barry Allen the Flash as a baseball fan is already such a fascinating image because to be honest, despite his justifications, baseball's a slow sport.
Yeah,
It is. It is a sport that
I
is.
feel like it's to me it feels like it's something that like Barry was like really into as a kid, and because he was into it as a kid, it's something he's held on to deeply into his adulthood, like despite his powers.
Yeah, it's like no baseball. Baseball is slow. There are no timings to the innings. Sometimes you can go into extra innings until somebody gets a point, and so that could take a long time. Um,
But here you actually see Barry and Wally actually start to bond over the game. And you see them like cheering together, and like Iris really enjoying seeing that in them. It's like it's a really quick like 3-page scene, but it's a really important character beat that I really like seeing for them.
it gets a lot of character across that, let's be honest, some of the present stuff in this arc has been lacking. Like,
Yeah.
things are lacking. It's this it's problem it's kind of just the big problem with this story, and why it loses a lot of the steam for me, because it's so stretched. uh
Speaking
anyway,
of stretched, we're going to keep going with that with the Flash number 33, which another freak of the week on the cover. Dude, look, I mean, I'm having a hard time
is
even
this
describing this plot again. I've read this story arc twice, and
well
yeah,
here's
it's
the thing, this is the issue where President Barry, it clicks everything together and we reveal who the killer is.
oh,
I'm
I
gonna be
forgot about
honest.
that.
Yeah, that's this issue. Or is it the next issue?
Is it this issue? I have no clue, to be honest.
I think it's this issue.
I believe you. I can just look ahead.
Yes, you do.
um,
Yeah, no, it's this issue. It is this issue.
Okay,
It's
okay,
in my
we
notes.
reveal the killer in this one, but we finish it up next time. Yeah.
So,
So
yeah, and I'm gonna be
yeah,
honest. I'm gonna be honest. Part of the problem is we have no real connection on who the killer is. Like,
yeah.
it, it it's it's a reveal. It's also a reveal that I saw coming a mile away, because Vendetti and Jensen have this moment where the killer talks to Barry and tries to like be clever and get him off his case. Like,
Well, it's also another one of those cases of like a murder mystery with like one suspect, because this is like our one new character that Vendetti and Jensen have introduced to the precinct. Like it's okay, sure. It's who else was it
a
going
new
to be,
character
really?
that we haven't spent much time with. Like,
Yeah, yeah. So it's essentially this detective cop guy on the force called Seaborn, and that's the twist.
his
But
motivations are revealed next time, and it's interesting. But that is, uh, there are also a couple of nice little things um in the present plot line.
not even any Wally scenes though, which is a shame. Like we're not even like developing that relationship in this issue.
I like the bits of Barry investigating not as the Flash.
That is nice to see. Yeah.
I will say this is where the future Barry stuff got, honestly, I was kind
Oh
of sick of it. Like,
no, come on, this is metal as hell. This fucked up version of Barry in the future just goes to see Trickster again before he commits a crime and says, "No, you're going. This is when and how you're going to die." I don't know. It's. I like seeing this because I like seeing like how far future Barry is willing to go as he loses himself more and more by traveling back. Um,
see, here's the thing. To me, it didn't feel like an escalation of anything.
didn't it? I think this is.
No,
I don't know. Okay. So like because our last one was Captain Cold. It was a nice moment. I think the darkest thing before it was probably trapping Mirror Master in his dimension. But like
Mirror
this, like
Master and Grodd were enough. Like Grodd,
see, I don't.
especially, where you blow
I
off
th-
his head.
I think this is the most human one though. This is one where he just straight up confronts Trickster with his exact date and time of his death and says, "Okay, well, do you want to stop that? Because this is how you stop it." And puts the fear of his own demise into him, and and that is what causes him to, in a way, save the day. It's really scary. I don't know. I think it's really good. I like this
Yeah.
stuff.
Oh, there is exactly one brief scene of Wally in the present.
Oh, I forget what it was.
He
Oh, I
gets
see it.
arrested.
He gets her. Oh, that's right. Yeah, yeah. He was gonna get into a gang fight or something. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's about it. That's what this issue is. It's
Anyway, Flash number 34.
Flash number 34.
Flash number
Uh,
34. Who knew this would be so fast to go through? So easy to go through in a relatively quick manner. Anyway, yeah. So let's do present because we have revealed Seaborn as the killer, and and Flash actually goes to like confront him about this, and also the cover promises Seaborn working with all these other villains that we've seen throughout the past couple issues, and he just straight up doesn't. He has all their weapons, I think, is the idea,
yeah,
but he's kind of a cover that is kind of purposefully misleading. I don't know. It's weird.
it's weird. So the idea is that Seaborn basically began to stockpile these weapons during the Crime Syndicate's reign, uh, and kind of just kept going with villainy, like even after that, and was trying to, and in trying to clean up his own mess, only spiraled to be worse, which is a fine enough parallel to Future Barry, I guess.
Hmm.
Kind of unnecessary because in the Barry Wally plotline, we have plenty of parallels. Like these parallels have happened in other ways. It is
Yeah, yeah.
it, it is just not great.
And
So
like,
it means
and I want to say, like, I want to offer up a solution to this and be like, just cut the entire murder mystery plot. But then the only thing you get Barry to do in the present is to connect with Wally, and it's like, okay, well, what is the Flash in the
well,
present actually accomplish?
honestly, I think the problem is the murder mystery plot is just an underbaked plot. It needs to go through a couple more drafts.
Yeah.
Uh, it because it's a thing that could work. It just doesn't work. Uh, I think honest, and I think part of it, again, I think a lot of this needs to be trimmed, even some of the good stuff, to just make a better whole. Like, not even significantly, but a lot of the future Flash issues that keep, flip flopping between present and future really quickly,
Hmm.
case those out a little better because they are
Yeah.
choppy.
Hmm.
It's
I
not.
do kind of like our sort of spitball proposed idea of just like having like one or two issues entirely dedicated to Future Flash rather than constantly flipping back and forth within the issues.
Yeah. Uh,
There's a really great scene though with Wally here at the end,
yeah.
where
Well, here's the thing. I think partially what helps this issue, oddly enough, despite the anticlimax of this serial killer plot, is that it is essentially an issue split into thirds. Not even thirds. First third, the serial killer plot. Middle third is Barry finally realizing something is wrong with the Speed Force, even though, let's be honest, he should have. Barry Allen is not a dumb character. He should have realized he's losing time and losing time faster, and it should not have taken to get to this point. Uh,
yeah, yeah,
that is it. I believe the trope is called this is kind of an idiot plot. Like to make this plot work, Barry has to be an idiot very briefly, which I don't love. It's not great. Uh,
yeah,
but then we get just. I'm gonna be honest. Best sequence in the book, maybe. Um,
in this particular volume, very very possibly.
yeah, I mean,
Are you saying that just the Wally and Daniel scene, or the future scene that follows it? Because I think altogether it makes for a really nice chunk of the issue.
basically both. Yeah, both. Like
Yeah.
together,
Um,
like this. Like what I'm saying is, we needed to get to this scene sooner than we did because
yeah. Although, if you didn't see like the struggle that Barry and Wally's relationship went through before this, the moment between Wally and Daniel wouldn't hit as hard. But also, all of it's intercut between future sequences, which aren't bad. But it's also cut between this murder plot that just means nothing and goes nowhere.
again,
So
I think there are ways to keep that emotional impact, even with trims to the Wally Berry scenes would be very minor in my mind if I had to trim stuff because there's like maybe cut it so Barry and Wally can actually recognize each other like with that scene in the park a little bit sooner
You know
than
what? How about this? I just came up with this fix, but I think I don't know. I don't know if this would actually work in theory, but the fix I just came up with. I wonder if you don't actually have to sacrifice any of the really good Wally stuff. I just really think that the murder mystery plot needs a complete overhaul, and I wonder if instead of trimming things down, if instead we could replace those scenes with and make a stronger connection between our present and future Barry parallels by having present Barry fight the villains that future Barry is fighting as well. Have an encounter with Grodd, have an encounter with Mirror Master, have an encounter with Captain Cold as future Barry is saying goodbye to him. I think it'd be really impactful. And make them just really small stories. They don't need to be this larger connected murder mystery plot. I think
that
I
would
think I think that could really work.
that might actually that would also probably stop a lot of the repetition from feeling so repetitive. Like,
Yeah.
uh,
God
yeah,
damn it! I fixed it like what? Fucking nearly 10 years too late. God damn it!
10 years too late.
If
But
I
yeah,
could turn back time. Yeah. So Wally and Daniel have an encounter. That sounds weird. Wally goes to visit Daniel
so
in prison.
Barry was able to pull some strings to get Wally to talk to Daniel West.
Yeah, and
And so the first two pages are it's Wally and Daniel speaking. Daniel being repentant, saying he did all of it. He was the Reverse Flash, and he's paying for his mistakes.
he's
And
telling Wally
asks
to do better.
do better, and Matt makes him promise.
Yeah,
Wally leaves in tears, and already great scene.
yeah.
But
Made even
then
better
we
by the
go
fact that
and
Daniel is still in character because Barry pretty much bribed him to say all that. um, oh my god, fucking mwah, beautiful. I love this conversation between Barry and Daniel immediately after, because Daniel knows that Barry is the Flash, and so they sort of have this face to face of like mutually assured destruction, and if either of them should if Daniel should step out of line, and that Barry can, or if Barry should step out of line and not give Daniel what he wants, then Daniel could sort of blow the lid on Barry's whole secret identity thing. It's really really good, and then it's made even better by our future Barry sequence afterward. 7 years from now, it says 6 years from now, 5.5 years from now, 5 years from now, as we keep going back, and future Barry confronts Daniel himself, who we learn is the reason that Wally died and Iris was disabled in our initial flash forward at the start of the whole run. And that is where the issue ends. It's so fucking good. Like, so fucking good. Also, I just don't think Daniel West's reverse flash design translates as well into Brett Booth's art. But also, I think that's more a thing of like Manapul Bucalado's art being a bit more abstract and Brett Booth being a bit more literal in the way that he draws characters. But
yeah,
that's
I
beside
think
the
it's
point.
I think it's fine.
Yeah, oh yeah. Just when
It just doesn't suit the style nearly as well.
yeah,
And it's not like, say, I don't know, let's pluck an artist out of nowhere who has a very stylized art form that doesn't work, Frank Miller. I mean, like, am I wrong though? That's remember this is like there's a clear effort to make it work in the style. It just doesn't quite click, but
yeah,
it
yeah,
also
definitely.
doesn't suffer.
Well, it's a design that isn't meant to be taken literally. It is meant to be this weird sort of abstract Speed Force constantly fucking with the way that Daniel looks design in the way that Manapul draws it. But when you take the character a bit more literally like this, it just doesn't look quite as good as it was originally intended. But anyway, we move into the Flash Futures End #1, our Futures End tie-in. Well, I say tie-in. It's not a tie-in to the actual Futures End event. It's just an extra issue as Vendetti and Jensen actually take it, which is fine actually. I don't mind that. But let's do some time travel shenanigans because we start out 5 years from now, not with our future Barry that we left off with, but it is still a future Barry. This is the Barry that was not fast enough to save Wally and Iris, and so he is going.
In my notes, I called this one 5-year Barry
Five
because
year.
I'm like, fuck, we're doing having multiple berries. There's
Berries within berries within berries. Yes. But yeah, he is aware of this incoming danger, and he wants to go save the Wests. And this is also happening at the time that Barry's Speed Force powers are being fucked with, and he's losing time as he continues to travel. And so, cut to future Barry, Blueberry. There we go. I like Blueberry. That's a good name for it. Blueberry is fighting Daniel West and trying to stop this disaster from happening as Iris's car sort of starts to lose control. Blueberry is fighting Daniel, and Blueberry snaps Daniel's neck.
yeah.
Then saves Iris and
Possibly,
Wally.
does he decapitate him? I don't think he fully decapitates him.
No, he just snaps his neck. That's it. I say that's all. But yeah, kills Daniel and saves Wally and Iris, and this happens as 5. Yeah, I'll say 5-year Barry shows up and comes face to face with Blueberry, and obviously these characters come to blows as 5-year Barry finds out who that Blueberry is, future him, and has done all this for him, and he's kind of repulsed by this idea of all these horrible things that Blueberry has done. We get this great fight scene between our two Barrys. It's really funny to read this though, because this is our Barry from the present. This is a totally different red suit Barry Allen. It's so weird. I love it. I love time travel shenanigans. It's lovely.
It's also very much
it.
implied that the Speed Force isn't liking the fact that there are two berries really close together. Because part of this is, in doing this, our future Barry, or our 20-year in the future Barry, Blueberry has. Hold together, Jacob. Hold it together.
We have a whole other volume to cover, Jacob.
Is trying to cauterize this wound in time, and in doing so, he ends up again killing himself, like killing his past self, kind of by accident, before disappearing. And it's an incredible, it's a great moment. Like, this is one of the best issues of the arc.
I think this is like the best issue of this particular volume. I really love this one.
Very probably. Again, weird that it's a tie-in to an event without actually being a tie-in to an event.
It's not a tie-in at all to that event. But yeah, we have this really great note that 5-year Barry has died, and in his dying breath, he talks to Wally and tells Wally that he is able to. He tells Wally that he can learn these powers as well. That he can still save the day. And as Barry dies, Wally trains in an undisclosed amount of time to use the Speed Force to become a version of the Flash, or a Kid Flash, if you will. And that is sort of where the issue ends, as Blueberry goes to the present day, our actual present day in the New 52. As we end out the issue, it takes us into the final issue of this first volume, The Flash number 35, which is where the trade cover comes from. And it's great. It's just a great cover to choose. I really like that one. But in the present day, Blueberry has shown up. He is here to put a stop to himself, and we catch up with Present Barry, who wakes up, and as he's just kind of starting his day, Blueberry comes in and kidnaps him, and we kind of recreate the confrontation between Present Barry, between 5-year Barry and Blueberry from the last issue, which is interesting to see. but also present Barry, is understanding the sort of crack in the Speed Force that this is all caused. Which, let's be real, this is all Blueberry's fault, and Blueberry kind of presents this as not his fault. Which, what a fucking
Yeah,
guy! What a fucking guy! He knows he caused this shit. But yeah, great conversation between these two characters. Of course, a fight is going to break out between them. Get some great action here that Brett Booth draws. It's
I
fun.
love the way the split in the Speed Force is sort of portrayed.
Oh yeah, it's like a literal like lightning bolt symbol. It's cool. It looks really cool.
That and the idea is that like killing Present Barry is going to cauterize the wound. He's going to sacrifice it.
Which, like, what is the logic there? How does that actually make things better?
See, it's so the time travel rules we're going with. We're going with time travel rules that changing the past changes the future no matter what, even if that past doesn't have a causal link.
Mm-hmm. And a thing from that future can still survive in the past as long as it is separated from that timeline that was aborted by changing the past. Hence,
honestly, we're using some Doctor Who logic here.
Yeah. And I'm totally fine with that. Here's the thing: my approach to time travel logic has always sort of been, I'm okay with accepting literally anything as long as it is serving the story and it is and it is emotionally impacting me the same way that it would, whether it made sense or not on a time travel level.
And that I would add the caveat that like the story itself establishes its rules and tries to stick to them as best as it can. And
I'm a little bit more loose with it myself, but I understand that.
I mean, we're both massive Doctor Who fans. We deal with time travel bullshit.
Yeah.
And yeah, I really like where this goes.
Okay. But question: what is the name for our 5 year from now Wally that has become a Flash, but is not Kid Flash, but is a different version of the Flash from the future, but probably
in
beyond
a silver and red
years,
costume,
and has come back in time to the present to join this fight? What is his official name?
Future Wally Flash.
Future Wally Flash, who fights Blueberry, and this is so funny. I love this. I'm sorry. It's very good. It's actually very good drama, and I love it. But it is so funny to describe.
Wally sacrifices himself, asking Present Barry not to give up on him.
Mm-hmm. And this closes up our sort of wound in the Speed Force, and
Future Barry is devastated by the fact that he did all this work while he still dies.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds like, well, I'm now trapped in this past timeline.
And what a fucking choice the last 2 pages of this issue make. That what has happened to Present Barry is he has been sent to a land full of dinosaurs, and that is where the collection ends.
That's out of time, folks.
And oh my god, we still have a whole other volume. Thankfully, it's a slightly shorter volume.
Thankfully, it's 6 issues.
But one issue, I don't even think we really need to talk about.
I mean, you know what? Let's start at the end here.
Yeah, this Secret Origins number 7. It is literally just a recounting of Barry Allen's origin. The only reason
it is not a full length issue. It is. I think it's clearly
it's a story from Secret Origins number 7. Yeah. But also the only reason it's included here is because it's written by Rob Venditti and Van Jensen, and that's it. That's the only reason it's here. It's you see the Mother Death, you see the school, you see the lightning, you see the Flash, and you see the villains, and you see the father, and you see the jail, and you see the Flash, and that's the issue. That's the story of the issue.
Here's the thing: it's good. It is.
It is good.
It's a nice refresher, a nice establishment of what Barry is. Possibly a good jumping on point because this is coming out in 2015. So
was probably made because CW. Yeah.
Yeah, like good good way to onboard people, um, and show them the differences between TV Flash and comics Flash because they are very different.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
definitely. One's
I'm
actually
glad it's
good.
included.
Okay.
I literal,
I'm kind of
I,
glad
literal,
you started. I'm kind of glad you started talking as I said that.
I have no idea what you said because I was talking.
Oh, I just
Uh,
said one. You said they're very different. TV Flash and comic Flash, and I said one's actually good. But yeah. Anyway,
I literally have one note for Secret Origins #7, and it's Barry's origin. Like that's
is that all
that's,
you
that's what
wrote?
it is. Yeah, I was like, I, I don't want to
Yes.
say what do you want from me, but it's like
No.
that.
Yeah. No. You're right. Yeah. Yeah. There's some nice art. There's some really very nice art. There's a lovely cover by who does the cover? Brian Hitch and Alex Sinclair, which is it's a great cover. Yeah,
The interiors for the issue are Miguel Sepulveda and Scott Hanna.
yep,
Also great.
yep.
So let's get back to the actual Flash.
Yeah, which we only have 5 issues to cover. Now that we did cover Secret Origins, yeah.
And,
So
and thank goodness, I don't know what happened. Probably because of plot lines to juggle. Um, these are paced much better. So
but yeah,
much better.
it's really good. I mean, it's still juggling the plots of future and past Barry or future and present Barry, but it's really good. I don't know. We open on issue number 36, Flash number 36. Welcome to the Savage World, if you will, not to be confused, of course, with the Savage Land, also full of dinosaurs. But that's a Marvel thing. Good for them. We meet a character here early on that we do not learn the identity of right away.
His name
But
is Selkirk. I don't
yes,
think I don't think they name him until the next issue, which is like,
yeah, yeah. I mean, what is there to hide? He's an original character to this story, right?
yeah.
So whatever. But then we catch back up with Blueberry in the now in the present, who who first off
So the implication is that time is still trying to rectify itself. So it's like, cool. I have a Barry Allen, but he's 20 years too old, so we're going to reduce him in age by 20 years.
at least visually to others looking at him, they will see him as younger. However, still blue suit. So Barry's first thing is to go and be back with Patty and to kiss her. And look, is this trying to think of a movie reference that's very apt here because I think there's definitely one, but I just can't think of it right now. That just kind of makes this feel wrong. But whatever. Future Barry goes to yeah, he's still Future Barry. He's Blueberry. He goes to see Patty, and they go off to work together. And I wonder actually, so there is obviously more shenanigans that Blueberry will be up to in the future, but I'm curious what you kind of thought like the trajectory for Blueberry was at this point, him being in the present.
I I got like, oh, this is going to be he takes over Barry's life.
But did you think he would still be a bad guy, if you will?
Yeah, no, I
Oh,
kind of
okay,
completely
gotcha,
called it.
gotcha. Okay,
I also so we'll say I read this volume over the course of like 2 days, so it wasn't like a whole lot. Whereas the first one took me considerably longer to get through.
yeah.
Um,
I mean, it's also just a way shorter volume, so
it's
there's
shorter and it breezes a lot better. Yeah,
yeah.
it, yeah. Um, so I do
So we
like
go.
I do
Oh, go
like
ahead.
Barry being our future Barry being elated to be back in what now is the present and having to see all the people alive again and patching up relationships. We have this great scene where he meets Wally, um, and we start getting the cracks of, oh yes, I definitely remember saying you could hang out. Uh,
Yeah. Part of it is just kind of actually really nice to see like Barry just kind of for a little bit feeling like he's actually accomplished something, like he's actually gotten what he wanted for a little bit here. It's really nice to see. And like even if he is most definitely a bad guy, it's just nice to see. It's
there's
cool.
this particularly great moment where he promises to find Wally's mom. Also, where he invites director Singh on a double date with him and Patty,
Mhm.
which is it's sweet. It's nice.
Yeah, definitely.
It makes use
Um,
of a supporting cast that the last volume didn't quite do efficiently.
Yeah.
Um,
Speaking of said supporting cast, he goes out to lunch with Iris, he gives her some information on a case they're working on, and it's really important actually to like see like so what we're starting to do here with Future Barry being in the present is it's kind of what I like to see here is, and it's more a comment on the end of this particular issue, but I'll talk about it now because this is where you kind of start to see it. In that it's kind of the Batman slippery slope argument because like now that Future Barry has done all these horrible things to get to this point, he doesn't actually stop. He kind of can't help himself. He still feels like he has to fix things here in the past, um, or his past. So like
it's the dangers of time travel.
yeah, yeah. But on that, Batman slippery slope argument, like jumping ahead a little bit, to the end of our issue, he like goes, he like straight up just like goes and kills a guy because he knows, being from the future, that this guy is a murderer or is going to be a murderer. Hasn't
It
actually done anything
specifically
yet.
it specifically is going to be a murderer. This is a horror film junkie, which gotta be honest, love a lot of like the horror posters on the wall that are a lot of
The Joker too. Very fun. One
one that
just
is
called
just
Killer.
killer. I'm guessing that's a reference to like Maniac or something like that.
One that says 14 Friday.
Yeah, Friday. There's a Friday the 14th. There's a Chaw instead of Saw.
Yep.
Um,
There's Killer 3 then. Yeah, just a lot of fun things here.
there is one literally just called Psycho.
Yeah.
Um,
Very fun. But yeah, so he kills this kid, and the kid hasn't actually done anything yet. And yeah, he feels like he can fix all these things. But also
Meanwhile,
on
in
our
the
other
Savage world, we find out basically that this is sort of inside the Speed Force, and it's a collection of people who have fallen into. It's sort of a nexus where a bunch of people, um, not usually speedsters, find their way in. Uh,
Mhm.
and that like everything sort of winds up here. There is a nice outpost of people living together. That's what we're
Yeah,
establishing. Barry
yeah,
wants to go home. Great setup.
yeah.
Great setup.
Enough to bring us into the Flash number 37, where we sort of open, continuing that Savage World plotline. Yeah, we start to meet some of these people that are in here in the Savage World that live in this sort of like wooded city that they had built for themselves. Again, with dinosaurs everywhere. I love that. I love that so much. It's nice. I see dinosaurs. I'm
It,
happy. Um,
I love the sort of human spirit that we have going on of people from these different times just trying to make it work.
mhm.
Uh, Meanwhile, we end sort of the scene while everyone's under siege, while in the present, Iris finds dozens of refrigerated trailers full of bodies.
This is all thanks to the tip that she got from Future Berry last issue.
These
Um,
are all people killed during the crime syndicate's reign, uh,
mhm.
um, and never processed. And sort of, this is going to become the main present plot line, and I really like it. Like,
It's
I
good,
like it a
yeah,
lot.
and yeah, I guess it gives Iris something really good to do. Actually, yeah,
It's also
it's
a
great to
sort of a
see.
great commentary on how will governments drop the ball during disasters, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Because, uh, like, disaster relief is difficult.
Yeah. Also, On the page when director Singh comes into this issue, I want us to observe quickly this 5-panel scene, the average director Singh page in the Out of Time Savage World plotline. I swear it gets better in the next volume, but it's so funny. It's just like him freaking out for a little bit. He's then made happy again for some reason, and the page typically ends with him walking off in a different direction, tossing some papers up into the air, and being mad about something else. It's just really funny. It just keeps happening. Doesn't make it
Also,
bad or anything.
there's this little tiny moment of Singh mentioning this grad student at Catholic College found in his dorm room dead. Like you wouldn't know anything about that, Barry,
You
would
wouldn't
you?
be doing a murder, would you, Barry? Um, but yeah, um,
We're also gonna in this volume, Patty's allowed to be a little more intelligent and start realizing Barry's acting like last issue was, Barry's acting weird. That's nice. And this issue, it's Barry's acting weird.
yeah.
Like
I think
going on about how justice was served. Uh,
I think also what's important here as we talk about Vendetti and Jensen sort of going the route of splitting up Barry and Patty throughout this storyline. I think it's important to note that I do think the implication is that Barry and Patty would have been able to pull through had Barry had present Barry and future Barry not pretty much switched places like this. Um, but whatever. More on that later, I suppose. Um, but
I will say, like when it actually happens, I
it's
get
not.
it.
Yeah, it's not bad, honestly. It's a good thing.
My complaints are mainly with the first volume, grossly mischaracterizing Patty and like making her kind of dumb when she is. A lot of things in Out of Time come down to the idiot plot, and that's a problem. But
Yeah, yeah.
we
Anyway, back to the Savage World then. We see some of the Savage World's like fighting force, and they begin making their plan together, which is to obviously escape the Savage World. And Barry officially gets involved in their plan. Also, look, I superheroes holding guns is an entirely different debate from what I'm about to say. But I love this full page where Barry's holding a fucking pistol, an old
it
ass
is a
looking pistol.
flintlock pistol. It is
It looks cool. It just looks cool. I don't
it.
care. I love it.
It probably
um,
helps that it implies he does it to shoot like he shoots a dinosaur. Like he shoots a dinosaur. He's not shooting a person.
and how
Um,
cool is that? The Flash uses a gun to shoot a dinosaur.
I also don't think does Barry have a no guns rule? Like
I don't think so, but I think like imagine if you saw Aquaman with a gun. Like that would be weird. Like I don't think Aquaman has a no gun rule, but it still would be weird to see. Um,
you're right. I mean, it also doesn't bother me too much because it's a flintlock. Like
yeah.
I
Oh
don't know.
yeah.
There,
What if Batman held a flintlock?
okay.
How do we feel
Hmm.
then?
No, that's definitely a no. Here's the thing. Part
You
of it
say
is
that, but if you saw it, what if that was a thing that existed, Jacob?
no, no. Look, my point. I was trying to make a rather a more literary point that they're trying to play off of a lot of pulp things like your Doc Savage. You're almost in a way Conan the Barbarian. This is let's do a pulp story with present Barry and let's
Yeah.
make it really fun.
Mhm.
Um, it's like, well, we need to take Barry to the sky because to get out, Barry's going to need lightning from the Speed Force.
Yeah.
So let's travel to a top of a dangerous mountain through a fraught journey and bring Barry to the sky so we can get some lightning. Like that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
Um,
We then get a great little scene of future Barry and Patty on a date in the present. I say the present actually. The Savage World isn't. Well, I guess they don't need to like specify the present because the
the
Savage World
Savage World is
isn't
out of
really.
time. It is
Yeah,
outside of time.
yeah. So I don't know. I guess I've just gotten so used to calling it the present for this particular episode that I'm still doing it. But anyway, we close out our issue here by introducing our new freak of the week for our foreseeable present
For the entire
storyline.
arc. This is Overload, who has this issue with technology that's never quite explained. Uh, he
It's
is
just this is just an excuse to have a guy in a black trench coat and a top hat ride around in a horse and buggy, and it's cool. He looks cool. I Who cares if his reason for not liking technology is stupid? He looks cool.
uh, it's a thing. Um, yeah, it's a thing. Uh, and he wants to, stop the buzzing of technology. He blows this guy's head off, who's being an asshole, and then drives away in a great closing image. Like,
Don't you wish you as well could solve traffic with that one power?
no, I would take the surefire way to stop traffic: build more lanes, just keep expanding. Um,
That's that
that's
that
going to fix the problem.
that's
Um,
fair.
and not
Anyway,
public transportation.
the Flash number 38.
38.
38. The cover of the volume, which I think is, I mean, it's a fine cover. I just think there are better options for the cover of the trade. But whatever. I don't make
Honestly,
decisions.
I would have gone with 36's cover because it's got the
Yeah, yeah,
dinosaur.
yeah, yeah. But I guess if you're trying to sell the Future Barry thing, that's totally fair.
It
Um,
works too.
yeah,
We open with Barry and Patty processing a bunch of bodies. Um, and Barry comes over a body that, oh no, he's found Overload's first kill, nearly giving the game away to Patty that he's from the future.
yeah.
Uh, but he's interrupted by Iris. Um, and he then goes on this rant that all these John Does were real people with real lives that are stolen, and it's a nice rant. Rings a little hollow because this is from Future Barry, who is a unrepentant murderer.
Who is a murderer? Yeah, yeah. I
Who is an
suppose. Well,
unrepentant murderer.
yeah. I mean, that's also the thing is like with with Future Barry, it's like it's the question of like, yeah, like he's doing all this because he cares so much about life, but also he's taking life to do it, so he's blinded by it. He's become a hypocrite. In the words of Obi-Wan, he's become the very thing he swore to destroy. So it actually makes him a really cool character, and I'm simplifying it in terms like that, but it's I don't know, I like it. Um, yeah. Anyway,
We get in the Savage World, we get Selkirk's backstory.
we do.
Turns out he was plucked from the space time continuum because he was trying to prove the theory of the Speed Force, that it was a thing, and it's implied he's like late 1800s, like immediate post industrial revolution. I think that's where he's meant to be from.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Again, keeping in line with sort of the pulp origins of this story, is very fun with this great flashback that he went too
We,
close to the
we have
sun.
we haven't actually commented on Selkirk's design, which I adore. He's got this like lightning bolt carved into his chest. He wears these like almost Craven the Hunter type clothing pieces, and has like these like red lensed cybernetic goggles. It's just this really cool like anachronistic design in like a lot of different ways. Kind of the exact purpose of the Savage World as a setting. He's really representative of that, and I really like it. It's nice.
In a way, he's techno Indiana Jones.
Yes, yes, and I think any version of Indiana Jones, I think I just have to be in love with. I'm legally obligated to. Um, anyway, but back in the present, we have a Mirror Master attack here, and see, this is exactly what I wanted from the last volume, but whatever. Anyway, Mirror Master attack, and Future Barry, Blueberry, if you will, is here to stop it, and once again, being the absolute dick that Blueberry is, damn near murders a guy until he's stopped by the public seeing him damn near murder a guy. I forget what's the name of this other guy that Mirror Master is working with. Does he have a name?
Napalm.
Good for him. But yeah,
I love that Mirror Master is just doing this because he's pissed that Captain Cold got a cushy job at LexCorp.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, yep.
it's like, I want my money. I want what I'm owed. It's very
Which
fun.
cushy job at LexCorp. That sounds like a storyline we covered on Fresh Face Comics, episode 70. Friends, go check out episode 70 at Fresh Face Comics.
Thank you for the plug, Joe, because I would have forgotten to do it.
I'm
Uh,
so good at it, Jacob. You have no idea. Um, anyway, but yeah, yeah. Meanwhile, Patty is looking into what is she looking into? Ooh, I forget.
uh, she's putting she's the one that's putting together that Barry's not Barry. Like
That's right. Yeah, yeah. And then she like
he's
talks to Barry.
she's the one who realized um, Barry is probably the one that killed this college kid and is slowly putting the pieces together because she's allowed to be intelligent again. Uh,
How great is this? Is that last page actually just a genuinely badass page of Patty Spivot walking away, ready to crack a fucking case with the man that she's after, standing right behind her. It looks cool as hell. I love that last page so much.
partially because in it, it's very much implied she knows. Like
Oh yeah, yeah,
she
totally.
doesn't know exactly, but she knows enough.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that brings us into our second to last issue of today, with the Flash number 39. Um, here we go. Opening up here. Oh, that's right. I was like, wait a second, is that Deathstorm? That is Deathstorm. Yep.
Yeah, because
Yep.
we want to give Overload a little bit of backstory that I think he needs. That during Forever Evil, the town went dark. Like everyone disappeared, but there was a power blackout. So the way that that radiation affects this guy's head was no longer there.
See, could we not do this with like any of our fucking Freak of the Weeks from the last volume? Like just a little 2-page backstory. Like just something simple, easy to just wrap your head around. Like that's all you need. I think it's really easy. Whatever. Anyway, so Iris is meeting with Patty here because Patty is onto some shit, and we're also following Future Barry. In the meantime, as he looks into some of these dead bodies here, using his Speed Force powers to do his job, which is
He's trying to find Overload before he kills again, so he can you know kill him.
mhm.
Uh, in the Savage World, we're climbing a fucking mountain and are attacked by basically pterodactyls, and it's
It
great.
is important to note we haven't called this out, but living in the Savage World, despite being an extension of the Speed Force, we are not able to use our powers in the Savage World. So Barry's at a disadvantage here this whole time. But yeah, they're attacked by pterodactyls. Meanwhile, back in the present, Future Barry is still trying to find Overload. I can do this without yawning. I'll
Basically,
do this in
Central
my
City is
time.
implementing a. We're having the most fantastical element, a new public service being added to a city in the 21st century with free Wi-Fi for everybody. Um,
Crazy.
uh, and this is going honestly. Gonna be honest, surprised more cities haven't actually tried to implement. I mean, I'm not surprised.
Why? Yeah. Why are you surprised by this, Jacob? Come on.
I
um, be real with yourself. But yeah, back in the Savage World, we are at the top of this mountain, and we have brought Barry into this chamber with a giant sort of flash symbol in the middle there,
it's a
and
Speed Force temple, having that people have worshipped the Speed Force, and I didn't actually call Selkirk being evil as a thing.
it's a
I
pretty great
probably
twist,
should
isn't it?
have.
It's actually really good. Like, yeah, he's actually built up as like just a genuinely solid supporting character, but actually he somehow works even better as a villain because you didn't see it coming at all. Yeah, Barry's
This
attack
still
that
makes sense because
yeah.
he also he wants Flash's Speed Force powers, but he also does genuinely want to get help. Uh, yeah.
Yeah. But
So
yeah, Barry is knocked out when they enter the temple, and meanwhile, in the present, future Barry, Blue
Patty
Barry, is
is being confronted by Patty and Iris, who both realize that he's the killer Flash.
mhm.
Uh,
Which also is important to remember. I think, like from Patty and Iris's perspective, like this isn't a different Barry to them. Like this is just Barry. This is the Flash.
yes. Well, and Iris doesn't know Barry's the Flash. Iris just knows it as the Flash. Patty thinks this is her Barry. Uh,
Yeah. But then we are put face to face with Overload, and as this happens, we have this really fantastic last page that puts Future Barry and Present Barry side by side. Overload attacking Future Barry, and Selkirk laying down Present Barry on this like
To
Flash
try to get
symbol alter.
yeah,
Yeah, it's great. It's
to
really
get
cool.
lightning to strike. It's good. It's good.
Yeah.
Uh,
Taking us at long last to our last issue today, The Flash number 40. I say at long last. This episode's actually only been 2 hours so far.
yeah, it's not a.
I think that first
It's,
volume just took a lot out of us. That's all.
it did.
It's fine.
It's the trouble of of Savage World just being a good solid story where there's I don't want to say there's not much to talk about, but like it's it's pulp sci-fi. It's
It's good.
very good pulp. It's good pulp sci-fi,
Yeah,
but it's
it's
still
really
just
good. Yeah.
pulp sci-fi. Um,
Yeah. But yeah,
uh,
this is our last issue here. We pick up with Future Flash, Blueberry fighting Overload. Again, just fantastic art here. Mostly just Brett Booth getting a chance to shine. Meanwhile, in the Savage World, Selkirk is beginning.
we also have Barry losing his fucking hand. Future Barry, that is. And this is what gets him to tell Patty, surprise, Patty, I'm actually from the future. And I came to the past to fix my mistakes, but it's only made everything worse. I don't believe he's actually having a change of heart here. Because he kind of still tries to fuck everything over.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
But meanwhile, Selkirk begins the ritual to try to steal Barry's powers. Again, just some more fantastic art here. Flash's body begins to glow on this altar here. We're sort of like flashing back and forth here between our two Barrys as Future Barry regrows his hand with a cybernetic augmentation here. As he continues to go after Overload. I actually love this 2-page spread then with just those couple panels like spreading out from Flash, Future Flash running there. It looks really cool. I like that a lot. We have him being able to drain Overload's powers here, and the police being able to take Overload away. You actually see like Future Barry like starting to regret his decisions here. I actually like that little moment with the whole "I'm not that man anymore" line that closes that scene out. It's really nice. But meanwhile, in the Savage World, uh, uh,
Lightning strikes Barry and he gets his powers back. Disfigures Selkirk, like burns half of his face. Um, Barry is then like, cool, I'm gonna go home.
and just runs the hell out of there. Catching back up with.
I,
Oh, sorry. Go
and
ahead.
then I love this page in Central City between Patty and Future Barry of the Future Barry being like, look at me, I can be good. I wanted to kill him. I could have so easily. You helped me see that I've fallen, Patty. I can be Barry again. And I love Patty's response. I should be grateful because you didn't murder someone.
So good. Oh god, such a great moment. Um, but then present Barry comes back to the present, surprisingly. And is once again face to face with future Barry, and Selkirk jumps through this rift as well, joins the fight, and
The two Barrys have to fight Selkirk. Uh, because Selkirk is incredibly intelligent, but also he's really easy to beat. Um, like it doesn't take a whole lot.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, it's fine. I'm fine with a quick resolution in this case.
and in doing so, what it does is that the energy Selkirk absorbs has to go somewhere. So Future Barry takes it and allows Future Barry to end up dying, leaving Present Barry with one little tease of, he never may have caught their mother's killer, but he found a clue. And it was
Mhm.
on uh, as he disintegrates.
And then in one page, we do what's actually a really, really great last scene for the Barry Allen Patty Spivot relationship.
Here's the thing: the way they actually break up the relationship is genuinely good. Like
Yeah, and there's not
it's
even much dialogue.
genuinely
Honestly, it doesn't even need as much dialogue as it has. It is this one line that really sums it all up. Patty says, "He was a monster, a murderer. When I look at your face, I only see his." and that is enough to sell it. Like I've seen enough, and I think it's actually Vendetti and Jensen really sold it to me that that I can totally buy that being the exact reason that this relationship ends. And it's a really strong scene. I really love it.
Because it's not the Barry missing out. It is an evil future Barry is now all that Patty is genuinely going to be able to see when she sees Barry out.
Yeah.
Then we get our one final tease of Selkirk being shattered somewhere, possibly in the
And
Savage World, possibly not.
coming
Oh
face
look,
to face with a man in a yellow suit that looks
called Professor
suspiciously.
Zoom.
Yeah. Looks yeah.
So
This is where we're going. Yeah, I mean, the next volume is called Zoom. He's on the cover of the next volume. You knew this was coming.
what? What?
I know,
No,
I know. Shocker, massive spoiler. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for ruining this for you. But yeah, we're gonna do Zoom next time. The official introduction of Eobard Thawne to the New 52, which is pretty big. But
right near the end of the New 52, like in the last year
it's
of the.
fine. It's fine. And then we're gonna like immediately kill him off in Rebirth, which we also covered on Fresh Face Comics just 2 episodes ago. Check out episode 76 of Fresh Face Comics.
With
Plug
special
plug.
guest Kian.
With Kian, who was lovely to have on. Such a great guest. But yeah, that actually finishes Savage World, and as such, our 2 volumes today as a whole. Overall thoughts.
Yeah,
We obviously we got into it. I think we both kind of agree that the second volume is significantly better. But I think there's still a lot to like in Out of Time, personally.
Out of Time is mid. Mid doesn't mean bad. It just means kind of mediocre. I would say it leans towards good. Like I give it a 6 out of 10 if I had to like put a number score on it.
That's fair enough. Yeah, I
I
might do like a 6.5 maybe.
Yeah, I don't think it quite gets there for me. I
It's
found
half a point. Give it half a point.
I found too much of it a chore.
It's really just that
It,
murder mystery plot that kills it.
yeah, and that's enough to kill a lot of it.
It's
But
like not
Savage
even
World is solid.
it's not even a third of the book.
It's
It's not even a third of the book.
I think we both know that it causes structural issues and it makes problems. We have had this discussion for the last 2 hours, Joey.
Did we? I think we need to have it all over again.
No, we don't. But Savage World is good. Savage World is definitely good. I hope it means Savage World is an indicator that Vendetti and Jensen have found their feet, and that Zoom is good, and Full Stop is an ending.
Full Stop is a simple but nice ending to the run. I think, in my opinion, Zoom is the climax of the run, and Full Stop is just let's do something nice to close this out. And I think that's all it needs to be, really.
It's that transitory period of we know Rebirth. We know editorial told us Rebirth is coming, so we need to wind things down.
Yeah, yeah. I think actually, I think I like a lot of the Wally stuff in Full Stop. Actually, I think that's really cool. But we'll talk about that all next time on Fresh Face Comics when we cover the end of New 52 Flash. It's our second New 52 run that we've covered all of on the podcast, which I think is really cool.
You're right. I mean, you're right. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah. Second,
they're running
second full.
the full title, not like an individual writer's run.
We have completed some New 52 runs.
Yeah. But no, this is we did all of Batman. Now we've done all of Flash, which I think is really cool. I like that we've done that, and it's actually a pretty big accomplishment for the podcast in the same amount of episodes. 5 episodes for each run, which I think is really cool. But more on that next time. Otherwise, plugs. Let's do plugs. Jacob, what do you have going on right now?
A lot of my online presence recently has still been writing. If you're a Doctor Who fan and you like Big Finish, I am back writing some stuff for Indie Mac User. Taking it easy over there, but still doing a couple other stuff over there.
Okay, you did like what, one of those, right, for Indie Mac User? recently.
I've got a second.
Right?
I've got a second one coming.
Okay, so I legit thought I dreamed that. Not even kidding. Like I was like, oh, Jacob wrote Inuyasha. I'm like, no, he doesn't do that anymore. I must have like just seen it in passing. I was like, oh, I must have dreamed that or something. Not even joking. Go on.
No, it happened. I reviewed a Benny release. I'm now gonna. The next one I'm going to be doing is an Eighth Doctor release. That may be up by the time this is out. It may not. It depends on when I get that written. And then on my blog, I have been, as always, reviewing Star Trek, and I will have just finished Star Trek: The Animated Series.
Woohoo! Yes.
At the time of recording, I haven't finished it, but I am so ready. The light is at the end of the tunnel.
We are there. Yes. Love it. Which I guess, speaking of, on the channel, we also cover Star Trek on the channel, which is me and my brother, though. The other Jacob. Not this Jacob, other Jacob.
We are two different Jacobs. We have
two
been
different
in the
Jacobs.
same...
Very different Jacobs. But yeah, we've also just finished the animated series, and also if you join our Patreon, you can go check out the review of the first Star Trek movie, which is totally on there for early access if you want to check that out. I think I mentioned it on the last podcast episode, but I think our Star Trek movie videos, recording those, I think was just one of the greatest recording experiences I've had in my life. It just represented a really cool time in my life, and I recorded them like nearly a year ago at the time of recording this podcast episode, which is really weird to think about, but yeah, I just have really fond memories of those. They turned out really great, so it would mean a lot to me if you checked out those.
They're also, I imagine,
reviews.
Far more in depth than the animated series ones, because the animated series ones are... The animated series is very thin in terms of what to talk about.
Yeah. But also on the channel, we do, me and my brother also do R2BD, our Star Wars talk show. We have a new episode coming out in the near-ish future. We're covering some unmade Clone Wars story arcs through books and comics, which I actually have been reading recently, and they're really, really fucking good. If any of you out there like Son of Dathomir or Dark Disciple, they're really, really good. I'm sure they're very well known to those listening to this that are Star Wars fans. This is my first time going through them. They're so fucking good. Just beautiful stuff. Also, Fresh Face Comics things. Fresh Face one-shots we do where we cover current comics. We cover... the list is Superman by Joshua Williamson, Wonder Woman by Tom King, Batman the Brave and the Bold by Various, Absolute Power by Mark Waid and Dan Mora. Oh god, what else? Death in the Family Robin Lives by J.M. DeMatteis, Batman the Long Halloween, The Last Halloween by Jeff Loeb, Uncanny X-Men by Gail Simone, and me, myself, on Fresh Face Solos, I do X-Men by Jen McKay. That is so much. But thankfully, by the time
when you're listening to this, Absolute Power will have wrapped up.
Yay! Oh, that feels so nice to say. Even though at the time of recording this, we still have one more to go. But that's
look. It is the digital issue is going to drop in like a couple of hours.
Yeah, so we win. I think, what else? That's it, actually. That's it. Yay. Okay, so as always, our socials and everything will be linked in the description below. Our link trees will be down there, as well as the Amazon links to the books that we covered today and next time on the podcast. So check all that out if you want to check that out. Also, leave a rating and review wherever you're listening to us on. Also, apparently, Spotify introduced a thing recently where you can comment on episodes on Spotify. So that's really cool. We've gotten a few, actually, which is really nice.
We have...
like two of them. It's nothing crazy, but
could you share them with me? It'd be nice to see them because I don't check this. I didn't realize Spotify did that.
Yeah. But yeah, also, leaving a rating and review and subscribing to the podcast wherever you're listening to us just means a lot. It boosts our ratings, lets people know that you like what you're listening to. So as well as subscribing to the channel, Blood Donut Studios, which is really great, where we do all of those previous plugs that I mentioned. We do a lot of cool things there, and all support is greatly appreciated. So thank you all so much for listening. Until next time, this has been Joey Morgan.
Jacob Licklider.
Goodbye.
Bye.